The 4 decades of rock on 106.1 Rock Radio. All this week, the 80s. Leggings, shoulder pads and multicolored slap. And that was just the guys. Today, the movies.
We're talking about the 80s all week. We want to talk about 80s movies. Well, I think I want to talk about 80s movies. I wonder if Darren from LOVEFiLM can convince me that the 80s weren't a desert when it comes to big screen entertainment. Go on, Darren, give it your best shot.
It's a hard argument to make, right? And I hear what you're saying. This is where the phrase popcorn movie was really born in its truest sense, right? Popcorn, I love popcorn, but I understand that even if I eat a dozen boxes of it, the nutritional value, probably not that high. And I think the same goes for a lot of the movies of the 80s. But that's to say, they were great fun. There was a lot of excess in there. It's probably the flip side of the 70s. It was money, it was flash. There wasn't a huge amount of depth, certainly in the early part of it, but there's still some great stuff, you know. It's too easy to think of the 80s as, okay, right, there was the Brat Pack at the start, and that was all a bit something and the other. There was John Hughes's kind of comedy stuff running all the way through it, and then, blimey, somehow an Austrian bodybuilder who couldn't really speak English became the biggest star on the planet. How on earth did that happen?
I'm a friend of Sarah Connor. I was told that she's here. Could I see her, please?
No, can't see her. She's making a statement.
Where is she?
Look, it may take a while. If you want to wait, there's a bench over there.
I'll be back.
Woe is me, the 80s was terrible.
They had great soundtracks. Beverly Hills Cop. I mean, it's not exactly the most original movie ever.
It's difficult to think of Back to the Future without thinking of Huey Lewis and the News. I mean, it's hilarious in some ways, isn't it?
Apparently your mother is amorously infatuated with you instead of your father.
Whoa, wait a minute. Doc, are you trying to tell me that my mother has got the hots for me?
Precisely.
Whoa, this is heavy.
There's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull?
Top Gun. It was the beginning, I think, of the era where you had a movie that had a really good theme tune to it. Top Gun with Belinda's Take My Breath Away, that shot to number 1.
It's coming around on our tail. God damn it, this bogey's all over me.
All right, what's the range now?
200 miles, sir.
They break 150 miles, launch the Alert 5 aircraft.
Yes, sir. Airspeed 300, go get him, Mav. I'm going for missile lock. Let's see if we can scare this guy out of here. Come on, lock up, baby. Lock up, baby. Lock up. I got him locked. Bingo. We got him, Mav. He's bugging out and going home. Mustang, this is Maverick. MiG-2 is headed home.
This was the beginning, that's about mid-80s. I think it hits its zenith or its nadir, depending on how you stand on Bryan Adams, with Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
You know it's true. Everything I do it for you.
That flaming song that stayed at number 1 for, forever? 3 years, was it, in the end?
Hey, Darren, you be careful. Round these parts, you know what we say, don't we, Rachel? You can't beat a bit of Brian. We're quite keen on the groover from Vancouver, so you just be careful.
And while he's got his axe in his hand and he's doing what he was born to do, no problem at all. But while I've got to watch Robin Hood and Costner's blown dried hair pouncing about in some forest that's not even Sherwood Forest, and I've got to listen to a ballad, that's not what I want. I want rock and roll. I want that from him.
The sheriff calls us outlaws. But I say we are free. And one free man defending his home is more powerful than 10 hired soldiers.